Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Sports Stuff. I'm your host, Nick, and today we're going to be talking about the Laremy Tunsil and Kenny Stills trade from the Dolphins over to the Texans. Yes, another video about the Texans trading. They did a lot of trades on the NFL cut day on Saturday. Basically, on Saturday, you got to have your 53-man roster done by Saturday at 4 p.m. And obviously, all the news is breaking while I was at work, of course. I had to, have my phone keep updating me saying, hey, this person just got cut. This person just got cut. Oh, would you look at that? DT got cut by the Patriots and then re-signed. I don't understand. But anyway, the Texans were very busy. They wanted to remake their entire offensive line and I guess even their roster because they traded away a lot of pieces, but also got a lot of pieces back. Now, what the Texans traded for Laremy Tunsil and Kenny Stills and a 2020 4th-round pick and a 2021 6th-round pick, Miami will be getting a huge package of draft picks that will include 2 first-rounders, 20 and 21, a 21 second-round pick, and they also receive special teamer Johnson Badamosi and offensive tackle Julian Davenport. Now, I guess Julian Davenport is now going to be the air replacement to Laremy Tunsil on the Dolphins. He was a depth piece, a young guy. I think he started a couple games last year for them. But there's a reason they had the worst offensive line in football. It was the Cardinals, the Texans, the Dolphins, and the Giants. Those are generally the bottom 4, whatever way you want to put them in. Those are the worst 4 offensive lines last year. And 2 of the 4 are still really terrible. I think the Giants got better offensive line. I think the Texans got better. I think the Dolphins and Cardinals are worse. But, yeah, Laremy Tunsil, Kenny Stills traded. They're just trying to rebuild the offensive line. They already traded away 2 depth pieces, one to the Chiefs for Carlos Hyde, and obviously one in the trade to, get Laremy Tunsil in the building. But what I'm interested in seeing is the future of not just the Dolphins, but the Texans, because it seems like they're going all in this season. I mean, yes, they trade away Jadeveon Clowney, who's going to help them win a Super Bowl, but you got a really good wide receiver after it was either Kiki Kuti or Will Fuller went down with the ACL tear this preseason. Kenny Stills comes in and replaces him in the depth chart. And then honestly, you get a franchise left tackle who's only 25. This guy can be on your team for another 5 or 6 years. He can grow along Deshaun Watson. And again, he comes over with Kenny Stills. I think it's a win-win for both teams. The Dolphins get an offensive lineman to replace him. They also get a huge draft capital of 2 first-rounders and a second-rounder. I definitely think it was an even trade. I honestly think the Seahawks fleeced the Texans, but the Texans made a lot of trades. I was not expecting that. I did hear that Laremy Tunsil was gonna be traded a day or 2 before it happened. I always thought the Texans were gonna get a left tackle, whether that is what's his name, Trent Williams with the Redskins or Laremy Tunsil with the Dolphins, because they obviously want to tank. I feel very bad for them though. The thing with the Dolphins, I have a lot of Dolphins fans as friends, and they just don't know what their future is. They don't know if it's Josh Rosen because he's not starting week 1, so they're resting him for half a season or even a full year just to grow and develop. We don't know. We genuinely don't know right now. And if he isn't the future quarterback, how are you gonna know if you don't start the kid and watch him play all 16 weeks? Because for all you know, he's the franchise quarterback you needed. But if you start Fitzmagic for the first 8 weeks, the kid can't show you what he's got. And there's nothing even in Miami that he can throw to now. I can't name another wide receiver on the depth chart. I knew that I knew that Amendola left the Dolphins for the Lions. Now I know Kenny Stills got traded. You got Kalen Ballage and Kenyon Drake. Because they cut the one wide receiver I really wanted to keep, Preston Williams. I was very hoping that they would keep him and he would start. Now, especially that Kenny Stills is gone, and guess what? They didn't. They didn't keep him. They cut him. God, I'm sorry. I like the kid. He was very underrated going into the draft. I mean, the Laremy Tunsil trade isn't as important, I think, to the Seahawks trade. I definitely think the Texans are winning the division now. Now that Deshaun Watson has some really good protection on his left side, and from what I see, That's he likes sprinting out to the right, which then causes more sacks. So the kid can learn to stay in the pocket and just throw from inside the pocket. It's good. But the problem what he has been having the last couple of years is that his left tackle cannot block anyone. So they come sprinting off the left side of the right side of the defensive line, so the left side of the offensive line. So he has to run out to the right, where there's another guy, and the right tackle can't defend anyone. So the right tackle and the left tackle aren't helping him, making him either go break out to the right and get tackled, or break out to the left and get tackled. And that's why they have some of the most. That's why Deshaun Watson keeps getting injured, and why they had the most sacks last season. It's crazy. I don't want to see another Andrew Luck at this season, in this league. Retiring at 29 when they're going on a Super Bowl run, and then you have to retire because of injury. I don't want that. But I feel like that's what Deshaun Watson is, the next Andrew Luck. He's going to retire because they didn't build an offensive line earlier enough, and he's already been injured. So I'm very happy they're finally building an offensive line around him, because if they didn't this season, I was going to expect him to retire. Because before they traded for Laremy Tunsil, here's the only offensive lineman in a trade. It was the offensive lineman they sent to the Chiefs for Carlos Hyde. That was the last offensive lineman trade, whether that's trading away or trading for, that the Texans did this offseason. I mean, sure, they signed Matt Khalil, but then they cut him because they got Laremy Tunsil. So, they didn't have a good offensive line. And he was going to get injured again this season. I mean, the only reason Russell Wilson is able to stay alive is because he's a generational talent. I don't believe in Kyler Murray. I don't think he's going to do good in Arizona. I think his offensive line will kill him. Because if you can't stand behind an offensive line for too long, your routes don't develop, your running backs can't run. The offensive line is one of the most integral parts of an offense. And there's so many teams in the league with really good quarterbacks that can't build an offensive line. For real, there was a lot of good offensive linemen that I don't think the Seahawks went after. I mean, the Buffalo Bills signed an entire new offensive line besides Deion Dawkins. They signed 4 new starters for their offensive line. Quentin Spain, Mitch Morse, and the right guard and right tackle. I can't remember their names now. But they signed 4 new offensive linemen that are going to start day one. Why couldn't the Seahawks do that? Why? All they really did, I believe Dwayne Brown was signed. Jermaine Ifedi was there last year. What have they done? They've done nothing. And the Texans were about to do nothing. So good thing they trained for Laremy Tunsil, because this negates Deshaun Watson getting injured, and because of injury, retiring early, which we don't want to see. So I definitely think this is an even trade. The Dolphins get draft capital to move up and down in the drafts, either get Tua Tagovailoa, Jake Fromm, or Justin Herbert, or even next year, in 2 years from now, they get Trevor Lawrence. I think Tua is perfect for Miami. He's already used to that kind of weather because he's from Hawaii. I think Tua to the Dolphins makes the most sense. I'll probably come out with a video soon saying a mock draft of the quarterbacks and where I think they go. I think the Bengals could start out next season with a new starting quarterback, whether that's Ryan Finley, which I don't think he's going to be Ryan Finley, whether that's Ryan Finley, or I personally think Justin Herbert. Does Justin Herbert not sound like a Bengals name? You know what I mean? But, the Tunsil trade, Texans definitely won. I think they're going to win the division now. I think it goes Texans, Colts, Jaguars, Titans, and all 4 of them could all be in the playoffs, which is crazy that division is so stacked with playoff teams that could be in the playoffs. So Dolphins trade away Laremy Tunsil and Kenny Stills, and they get a draft capital and some pieces to fill their defense with. I mean, congratulations, Texans. You've won the division. I genuinely think you won the division with that. You're in a division with Calais Campbell, Josh Allen, and what's the other dude that's in the right end? Whatever, the Jaguars. The Jaguars defense, have a guy that can protect Deshaun Watson. Titans, they have a really good front 4, especially with Jeffrey Simmons. Congratulations. You now have an offensive line that can block for him, like what you should have done before you drafted a quarterback. But whatever. It's fine. Thank you guys for watching. Hope y'all enjoyed. If you do like my podcast, please consider subscribing. please consider subscribing below to Sports Stuff with me, Nick, your host. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.